Situations and conversations with Trey Renee. Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now. Pure enlightenment for the crowd. This is Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee.
Today on Situations and Conversations, we're on location for Black Girl Live, a youth-led event in Portland, celebrating and supporting the mental health of Black girls. Through storytelling, healing circles, and workshops, it creates a safe, empowering space for connection and healing. Hosted by Faith Bridge, we learn more about the event from Lisa Saunders, founder of Faith Bridge Portland, and with some resourceful information from Oregon Health Authority's Ebony Clarke. This is Black Girl Live.
My name is Lisa Saunders, and I am the founder and the executive director of Faith Bridge Portland. And we do trauma healing and recovery for Black and brown women. So today is about, it's called Black Girl Live for a reason. This is all about giving our girls resources, giving them space to talk, and letting them know that they're valued, loved, and we want them to live, right? So breakout sessions having to do with how to ground yourself, how to speak up, right? How to be safe, where to go, where the resources are, right? It said at the beginning, there's a lot of us in here that you could tap on the shoulder, right? And say, hey, I'm going through something, right? But really it is for me too, it is about getting our community, the Black community in Portland, on board, right? With, look, we've got a crisis with our Black girls and it's all hands on deck. And so that's what I wanted today to be about. But, I got a DJ. I want to keep it light. We're going to celebrate because we're going to celebrate hope. It's not all of a doubter. We're going to tell the hard truth, but we're going to celebrate, and we're going to celebrate life, that our girls are going to live and they're not going to die. This is when I say it's a silent issue, it's like a silent killer, right? Nobody's talking about it. A lot of people don't even know that the rates for Black girls and suicide is going up so drastically. We don't know that. So my goal and the goal of Oregon Health Authority was to bring this out into the open. Right? Let's talk about it. Let's bring some awareness. Let's let our girls know that not only are they seen, but they're heard and there's hope. When I founded Faith Bridge, the two things that I knew that needed to happen, I have a long history of serving women in the community. One of my other hats besides being Miss Lisa at Faith Bridge is I'm one of the affiliate pastors at Emmanuel Church. So I wear two hats. And I know that culture and faith are very, very important. I know that being spiritually grounded is one of the things that helped me heal myself. I have my own story of healing from some pretty traumatic things that happened in my own life, abuse, sexual assault, those sorts of things. And it was the faith that I grew up in and the culture that I grew up in that healed me. So I'm passing that on to the women and the girls that I serve. The work that I do, my girls program is called Brown Girl, Brave Girl. And in doing that work, we see all the time girls that are suffering in silence. I have had at least 3 girls that we've had to take through suicide protocol, meaning that they had an active plan to end their life. And one of the things I believe that our Black girls are, when I say suffering in silence, they're really doing that. No one talks about suicide. Some of that could be cultural. Some of that is religious. There's a bunch of different things. But I think it would be criminal for us to serve Black girls and not talk about and raise awareness of suicide and the increasing rates of it and the need for our girls to get mental health because they don't have that, right? So I want to make sure that as we're going through our healing work, we're grounding our women and girls in what does it mean to connect to faith and healing in this particular module. Some of the modules we do, especially with our young girls, is around self-esteem. Trauma doesn't define you. right? We teach our girls that trauma does not have to be the end and the beginning of your whole story, right? So, but how do you do that? I want our young girls to understand that a belief in something higher than themselves, whatever that is, right? I'm a Christian, so I come at it from a Christian standpoint, but in any faith, whatever that is, to ground yourself in that, and then move past and use that to be a foundation to heal. And also the resilience that comes from the African American culture. We are resilient people, and we have always overcome great odds. And so if our girls can know that, especially when they feel so hopeless and without roots sometimes, just so they can ground themselves in something bigger than themselves. We're an advocate. We're an advocate. A young lady who is presently suicidal and needs mental health support. She did reach out in the schools, and the schools called CPS, which in turn threw her family into chaos. And so she doesn't want to do that anymore. Some of our girls aren't believed, right? This particular girl, when she reached out and then CPS was called, it was not about serving her. It was about what can we do to punish the family. So these are the barriers that our girls face, right? They're scared because there's all this stigma around what it is that they're going through. They're not believed, or they're brushed aside, or they're minimized. And at Faith Bridge and in Brown Girl, Brave Girl, we lift them up, give them a space to tell their story, right? To tell their truth, which is one of the modules, tell your truth, right? And listen and then advocate. We've got resources that we can connect them to, but it's about creating a safe environment and creating relationship. First step, I would say, is to find a trusted adult, right? And that's why it's so important to have programs that are culturally specific, right? Because for us, culture is important, and a Black girl will trust me to come up and tell me, and they do, to tell me their story. Miss Ebony, they'll trust Miss Ebony, tell the story, right? So they just need to know, and we need to have, and this is where I'm going to advocate for even more funding. We need more mentors in the schools, right, where Black girls are, that are trusted, that they know that they'll be safe with, to be able to tell that, to say, I'm struggling. Or like in our camp, a girl came and said, I just wanted to reach out today because I'm going to get my dad's gun and I plan on shooting myself tonight. And we were able to talk to her, and she's alive today. And that's what we need. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the funding that we got to do this. I'm so grateful to Oregon Health Authority, so grateful to Miss Ebony and Miss Jill for seeing us and seeing our girls and knowing this is important.
I have used my story to position myself to do what I can within my role to make sure that we have services and supports that are designed by you, for you, and supported by the Oregon Health Authority. And so I just want y'all to know that we at Oregon Health Authority are committed to doing all we can to work to assure that not one life is lost. We, as Black females, nationally, have some of the highest rates of resiliency. But when we pause and we think about the stark reality of the number of lives that we're losing, it's too many. Oregon is one of the whitest states in the country, yet if we have some of the highest rates of young people, of Black girls, brown girls unaliving themselves, there's a problem with that.
My name is Ebony Clarke, and I'm the Behavioral Health Director for the Oregon Health Authority. There's a number of risks that are contributing to the issues of suicide ideation amongst our young Black girl population. I would say that, the issues of racism is one of the major contributors. What we know is that in both the healthcare and the mental health arena, there continues to be implicit bias that really affects the level of care and quality of care and service and support that our Black girls and our Black women receive. We also know that we have a disparity in terms of access to providers that look like us and come from our communities. And then lastly, too, there's a lack of culturally responsive or promising practices, or quite frankly, evidence-based practices that are used in the mental health arena to be more effective with our young Black girls. The other things, too, are just the issues specific to the social determinants of health. And so when we think of the factors of education, socioeconomic, built environment, all of those things are compounding the issues that then play out through the lens of implicit bias and institutionalized racism. And then, a lot of times our Black girls are left feeling hopeless, lonely, and like they have nowhere to turn. When we think about just the history of slavery and the role that Black females saw their families ripped from them. They saw their kids, they saw their husbands, they saw their brothers, they saw their uncles being ripped from them. And that caused the strong Black woman narrative where the Black female has to be the backbone. And from there, I think there's this kind of unspoken societal assumption that there's all these additional and daunting expectations that are placed on Black girls all the way to Black women. And it's implicit bias of, well, she's strong, she can handle it. And so, I think there's that issue that plays into it. There's the issues specific to race. And then, we also see the disparities and the inequities that play out based on gender and social orientation. And because we continue to be in a highly westernized society, healthcare and mental health services and supports are based on, white Western medicine. But I will say at Oregon Health Authority, we understand the importance of really working from a culturally responsive perspective. We have a goal and it's a daunting goal, to work to end inequities and health disparities by 2030. And that's our North Star. And that's something we're going to continue to work towards. And so to do that, what we recognize at Oregon Health Authority is that we have to partner with community, and we have to walk alongside our Black women and our Black girls and leverage the strategies and solutions that they're bringing to us to incorporate in ways that we can build policy and resources to better meet the needs of our Black girls and Black young women, so we can see a reduction in the rates of suicides. I think there continues to be the issue of stigma. Again, there's that false narrative that you're strong, you can handle anything, just keep it to yourself. So there's that narrative. I also believe that when our young girls try to reach out, there's not a response. There's not the support. So it reinforces them just kind of staying silent and keeping it to themselves. As I spoke to earlier, I think additional barriers continue to be the lack of promising practices and approaches that really speak to how Black girls and Black women respond in terms of healing and wellness. And so again, at the Oregon Health Authority, we recognize the role that community plays. We recognize the role that spirituality plays. We recognize the role that dance, the role that breaking bread plays into the healing of our Black community. And those are some of the innovations and the things we're trying to work to be creative, to look at how we build that into addressing the mental health needs for our Black girls. Because lastly, we don't have enough mental health providers that are from the community to help address the need. And so that's where we have to look at our culture and our tradition and our promising practices as a stopgap, again, to stop and end and reduce suicide. It's well known that, especially for Black women and Black girls, faith, spirituality, and being in community are key strategies that really help dispel the issues of loneliness, isolation, and hopelessness and depression. And so, things that we work to try to support and fund and resource at Oregon Health Authority are strategies like that really are rooted in engagement, and engagement that really comes out of and led by the community. I think some additional other approaches is that Black women and Black girls, we love to express ourselves through our hair. And research has also demonstrated that when we are able to take time to build a crown for ourselves, if you will, there's healing methods in connection and talking and sharing stories and getting advice through going to the beauty salon. And so that's another strategy. So we're looking at how do we partner with beauty salons and beauticians? How do we partner with various faith-based organizations? How do we partner with, quite frankly, our young people to bring forward present-day practices so that we can be more effective in meeting the need? I think the practices that are most needed are finding ways to continue to support, build, and fund strategies that are rooted in our traditional ways of being in community and healing each other. So what I mean by that is if we know that having a session like here today, specific to Black Girl Live, and we know that this will touch someone and give them the hope and get them connected to the services and supports that they need, then those are the type of things that we need to find ways to fund. If we know that having an older Black mentor, if we know stepping into community and breaking bread, if we know that song and dance is a way of healing, and if we know that we don't have enough Black African-American therapists, then what we need to do is find a way for our insurance plans, whether it's public or whether it's commercial, to fund some of those strategies as interim ways to support and address and promote quality emotional healing and emotional wellness. There's a well-known myth that folks believe if you talk to someone about concerns of suicide, that's only going to further the risk that they are successful in completing unaliving themselves, and that's not true. And so I think one thing is to be bold and be courageous, and step in and talk to someone and let them know that you're here to support them, and asking questions of, how can I support you in the way that you want, that works best for you? Whether that's just listening, whether it's walking alongside someone, whether it's driving someone to an appointment. But I think it's not being afraid to talk to someone. I think some other things that you can do is there's a free training that's either sponsored and funded by the Oregon Health Authority, also by Multnomah County, and some other entities called Mental Health First Aid. And Mental Health First Aid is a training that gives someone who's not in the mental health or behavioral health arena the tools to understand and recognize signs of depression and suicide, in addition to tools of how to support and respond and connect. I would also just say that using your voice and supporting someone with trying to build natural supports is something else that's important. But lastly, I'll just say not being afraid to tap someone on their shoulder and say, how can I help? I'm here for you. And what does that look like? And what is it that you need from me?
Thanks to the Oregon Health Authority and FaithBridge Portland for allowing us to share Black Girl Live. Get more information at faithbridgeportland.org. When we come back, we'll tap in with our neighbors in Washington from Converge Media to learn about a program equipping community members with life-saving skills. Don't go away. More S&C is on the way. Welcome back to Situations and Conversations. Our friends in Seattle at Converge Media highlighted an organization doing some amazing work in the community we'd like to share. Northwest Credible Messengers Barber and Beauty Shop Behavioral Health Project, training barbershop and beauty salon owners as peer support specialists with skills in counseling, crisis awareness, and creating safe spaces to address mental health and reduce violence. Check it out.
Northwest Credible Messengers is a consortium of dreamers, people who have lived experience, whether in a system, in community, in anything that's caused a barrier in their life. We believe in positive youth justice, so really thinking about that healing aspect of working with young people and community members and not really thinking about what's happened to them, but the potential within them.
And so having the opportunity to do trainings, do outreach and engagement across the state for our consortium, I believe that Barbershop and Beautician Behavioral Health Project definitely impact violence just due to the nature of the work that's already happening in those spaces. Barbershops and beauticians believe already do peer work, and so it just hasn't been documented and the stories haven't been told.
The Barber and Beauty Shop Behavioral Health process is a community of practice where we're tapping into the brilliance of our communities through beauty and barbershops to really elaborate what love looks like, what support looks like. It's culture, it's agency, it's relationships that produce results. It's walking alongside somebody to develop even more meaning, but really it's tapping into the aspirational thinking of those participants from trusted community leaders who've been through a process of training to really understand what love looks like.
A part of the Barber Beauty Behavioral Shop Project, I would say that I've learned how invaluable, once again, that it is in order to engage with your clients in a space that you have the proper tools to analyze and also help them create some form of individual service plan in effort for them to reach that milestone goal. Because if there aren't any objectives, then no one's going to be able to find a way to solve whatever their problem is.
Just came home 5 years ago after doing 10 years, and now I help lead our local prison and gang reintegration. I'm a mentor with our Journey program. I think the way Credible Messenger peer support has benefited the model here in our journey is helping empower us to believe in ourselves, empower us to see potential.
Credible Messengers means hope to me. This work will impact violence in our communities by intervention. Before there's anything to prevent, we're intervening and meeting people where they're at before it becomes something that needs to be prevented or something that will involve them in the criminal justice system. Meeting the person before their behaviors become violent.
In my area, I live in the Rainier Beach area. There's a lot of youth violence, guns, all types of things that are happening. So I live in the same community. I can offer support with the middle schools, the high schools, even some families that have been affected by whatever gun violence or violence that is happening in the community, that I can offer support, especially with the certification.
But also understanding the things that our people navigate. I think oftentimes when you look at the gaps and the determinants of health that we talked about that are negative in our communities, people don't really understand what somebody who comes from a marginalized community might navigate on a day-to-day basis. So that Healing-Centered Engagement Practitioner certification really breaks that down in a way.
The training was excellent. The information was just super impactful. They gave me language, questions, how to have more open-ended questions to actually draw people. It was impactful information that you really knew this is really going to help people.
Supporting individuals with different problems, just really learning how to listen, active listening, but just being able to be there and support them through the situations that they're experiencing. I believe this work will definitely impact, the violence in the communities by giving people an outlet and a space to come to again. Just having that safe place to open up.
This credential really lends me the language to what I've been doing, and also other techniques and ways of being to help expand my skill set. I appreciate Credible Messengers for this opportunity. I did not know that there was a process that you could go through to become certified in the state of Washington. Having a credential, a certified credential, solidifies you as a professional, right? It gives you credibility, and it gives you other means to be able to access resources.
I believe introducing these elements to the participants here in the beauty industry and in the beauty field, as well as right here in the shop, it allows for us to recognize that this is a discussion that we should have. And this would impact so many people that are dealing with not having had a voice for such a long time.
All right, family, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for hanging with us. I love and appreciate you for it. God willing, we'll be back next week for more. In the meantime, make sure you take excellent care of yourselves. That's the only way you'll be able to take care of anyone else, which is our mission. When you think me, think we. When you think you, think too. See ya! Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Oregon Health Authority, helping people and communities achieve optimum physical, mental, and social well-being. And thanks to our supporting partners, Louisa, a community-centered event space in the heart of Northeast Portland, and Adorn Boutique for my fabulous wardrobe. Situations and Conversations is a Trey Renee production in conjunction with Thomas Chung Films.